All right. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of the AI series with Nick and JP. JP being myself. I'm speaking to myself in third person now. But Nick, welcome. Good to see you as always.
Thank you. Good to see you as well. Hello, everyone. Hope people
Hello.
are listening in.
Yes. How was Amsterdam? I heard you were still there. You even extending your
Amsterdam,
trip. Yes.
I am still here. I will be here for a year
I love it.
now because I am Dutch and American. I have both passports, and my wife is just American, not just is American,
Just
and and she can. We wanted to be here for 5 months or so for half a year,
yeah.
but if we extend that a little bit, then she can also get a Dutch passport, which could also be great for the future. With my mother, she's Dutch, she's getting older, and just being able to not have to worry about travel and
Yeah.
staying a certain amount of time. So anyway, loving it here in Amsterdam. It's still summer, still nice weather, but it's turning. It's starting to be fall.
Yes, it goes really quickly. Like I feel like it's like in Europe, it's like you kind of have like great days and it starts raining for a week, and all of a sudden it's like 30 degrees, it gets like 9 Fahrenheit, and you're like, what's going
Yeah,
on over here? It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you
awesome.
don't have that anymore.
No, in SoCal, it's literally just always summer. It's like
Yeah,
it's like winter is like 60 degrees. You're like, oh, it's kind of cold up here.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
No, but it's good. I was in Austin a couple weeks ago for our event, and man, we lived there for a long time, but it gets hot out there and humid, and the
Hmm.
allergies just killed me. Like it took me like 2 days to get adjusted.
Oof.
So you take that weather for granted because you come back and it says it's the same temperature, but it just feels so different. I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
there's something about it. It's just very weird.
yeah. How funny.
Awesome. Well,
Nice.
let's talk about AI stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's dive in. As always, we have a couple of like general updates, what's happened over the last couple of weeks, and then we have a demo and just like a cool discussion to talk about like how to tackle AI projects. So I think we have a pretty good agenda. It is summer break. You can definitely tell people are a little bit like quieter. News is a little bit quieter, which is nice. Everybody gets to enjoy a little break. So now that summer break is officially over, kids are back in school, streets are packed again. And things should pick up again, but nevertheless, we have a really good agenda, so I'm excited about it. Do you want to kick us off with some of the OpenAI news, Nick?
Yeah, let's do it. So number one, OpenAI bought StatSig. That's a company that already exists. It's been around, and what they do is that they are, as they say, a one-stop shop for data platform for your product development. This is super interesting because uh, this shows that OpenAI is really going towards building products. They're not just going to be focusing on the LLM side and just making their LLMs better. They are expanding to products. What that looks like, we're not 100% sure yet, but a lot of that, of course, is already with the chat and with connecting with a lot of and integrating with a lot of your tools. But then
Yeah.
also, they're going to be turning that into SaaS products in general. So interesting to see. Curious to see where that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's clear that OpenAI is kind of becoming like a product company. They don't want to just be a model foundation company. And they've been cooking. Like let's be honest, like their product
Yeah.
experience is just really good. Like they're solid on like product velocity even. Um, I think what's interesting is I've used Static in the past. It's a great product to run experimentation, to roll out features, kind of gated behind feature flags, and kind of like doing a phased rollout to make sure everything is working correctly. But what actually came to surface is that Static is being utilized by Anthropic, so major competitor to OpenAI for all of their analytics and for all of their data. So it is going to be quite interesting that there is now a couple of companies, just trying to be. They're going to be acquired now just to get some data and maybe push some other competitors and give them a disadvantage in the market. So I thought that was very interesting. Facebook and Meta did the same thing with Scale AI, where Scale AI is being used by all these companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, and very curious to see if they're getting pushed out or if people just pull out of these contracts now and try to find something else. But it's not that easy to just like migrate everything away from like a provider if it's deeply integrated like this. So
Yeah.
um, definitely interesting, and definitely interesting move to see where they're moving.
Interesting that that's such a chess game.
Yeah.
That's sort of the next level, especially with OpenAI buying Statsig that Anthropic uses. There's a lot of data there that Anthropic probably has on there, and curious to see where that lands and
Yes.
how that goes. So interesting,
100%.
super
It
cool.
kind of goes in line with back in May, actually, OpenAI hired former CEO of Instacart, so massive like product guy, obviously. And back in May 2025, yeah, so they hired Fiji Simo, the Instacart chief. He's now kind of like the leadership or like CEO of applications. So it's interesting to see that they have different CEOs at OpenAI now.
Mm,
But you can definitely tell like they're pushing towards like building their own products and just creating a great user experience. And so I'm curious to see what the next steps are and how they're going to integrate Static into the OpenAI platform.
yeah, and yeah, OpenAI keeps on moving forward and doing special things. They have also announced that they will be buying $10 billion worth of chips for what they're doing. So they're scaling even though they're already huge. They are scaling a lot, and they are taking a lot in house, which is going to be yeah, another interesting play. This is going to become a even larger behemoth of a tech company
Yeah,
that's really going all in.
it's insane. Like the money that's being invested in data centers really shows like we don't have enough capacity. Then the number of electricity that's required there, and just like the investment upfront is kind of crazy to see. Again, we talked about I think Meta investing into a data center the size of Manhattan. Um, these are just going to be stood up everywhere, and it's really crazy to see because another benefit of this is just like it's going to get cheaper. It is always going to get
Mm-hmm.
cheaper. Like these tokens, they're going to get cheaper, and it's a race to the bottom in pricing. It just becomes commodity similar to storage. Like back in the days, you had like 30 megabytes, 4 megabytes, and now you have like terabytes, and it's like basically free.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing will happen to tokens. They basically become free, and everything else will be on top of
Man, I hadn't thought about a thumb drive or a hard drive, an
it.
external hard drive in a very long time. But yeah,
Yes,
they were very small, long time ago,
it
and
was my
they've
first
just
computer. I mean, I'm not that old yet, but my first computer I think had around like I don't know 32, 64 megabytes of like storage, and I know one game kind of pushed the boundary, so I had to like uninstall one game to like play the other game, and it was like there's not enough storage, so you have to like kind of like figure out what to do.
yeah,
It's like a problem you don't have these days anymore, right?
yeah,
You don't even
totally.
think about storage anymore; it just exists, except when you maybe on an
Yeah,
iPhone, because like for some reason like they haven't caught up on the iPhone, and we still try to make you pay more, so you get like the bigger iPhone, which is kind of crazy. But
yeah,
um, yeah, it's insane. Like it just gets everything gets bigger, and but again, it's so cheap to have all that storage these days.
yeah. So the next one, this was you shared this in the email thread as well. The MIT research on AI
Yes.
projects and how 95% of projects that were surveyed are were not successful and we're not doing well. Really interesting findings. One thing when doing a little bit of a deeper a dive into the research. This is based off of around 50 interviews, so it's a pretty small sample size. That said, there's still, of course, some truth and things to talk about there. Anything you want to unpack, JP?
Yeah, I think the study is very interesting, right? You have like the argument of are we back in the bubble? We're investing like we just heard $10 billion in OpenAI buying chips. We having all these massive investments, and then on the other side we hear like, hey, like MIT says like 95% of projects fail. And I'm actually not surprised. I'm really not surprised because these are like big tech like these are big companies. So you think of it like having a CEO or board of investors, board directors kind of sitting there and like, we need to do AI. And then the CTO is like, we got to do AI. And it kind of goes down the trickle, the chain basically. Um, and you kind of just start dabbling and you kind of just start experimenting with it. And I truly believe that, like, especially in those larger companies, as you kind of get down from like CTO director to manager to like line level employee, I think you're going to eventually get some pushback. And I think you're eventually going to see like, this is new. I don't want to learn this. This is going to take away my job. A lot of fear around it. And there's not like this like urge of just moving fast and moving forward. And so these projects just fail, because there's not really like any strategy behind it. It's trying to try things out, which is totally fine. Like we're all trying things out basically. So I'm not surprised that the first couple things don't really work out. And secondly, I think that they're, especially the bigger companies, and those were all big companies being interviewed, have a challenge in the culture and in just like trying to drive adoption, because they have a lot of pushback. And small businesses, I think, again, I keep saying that I think small businesses have the huge advantage here, because you don't see that pushback in small businesses. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you can help me? Like this will help me make my day like be more productive, and like they will take all the help that they can get. I think there's going to be a huge culture shift that's required, and there's going to be a lot of like pushback in the culture of these big companies to drive the adoption. I think it's going to be a big hurdle for AI adoption in these companies, and I'm curious to see how they figure that out and how that's going to evolve and trickle down. You've seen a couple of layoffs now. Companies saying like, "Oh, we don't hire X, Y, and Z." Or like 4,000 people being laid off like by Microsoft, and then Salesforce said, well, we didn't hire these many people. I also kind of call BS on this. Like AI is not at a point where it can replace a human. I don't know if it ever will be, maybe in certain situations, but like for a lot of the workflows, it's like far away from that. So if it can replace a human today, I don't know if that's really like a job that was like really well spec'd. But it's just not there. It's really not there. Like we're seeing maybe self-driving is kind of like the first application where maybe some humans can be kind of like moved around and replaced, because we're getting pretty close to trusting these cars and being able to use them, and there's just no drivers in there. But guess what? Then there is a back office of people that sit there and control the car remotely. So like, I don't know if there's really like a job displacement. There's more just like adjusting to new standards and adjusting to a new environment. So I don't buy it. I think that just things people try to push to be more productive. And so whether that's going to, whether we'll be seeing that through layoffs because people are pushing against adoption, or whether it's just an argument to use to kind of like lean out the organization. We'll see where it all falls. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think what you just said also, there was a study that came out that showed that there were certain entry level jobs that they're hiring less for.
Yes.
I think we're in this transition period where we're still trying to figure out what AI is best used for. It's adapting really quickly, and I think that in the longer term, it can definitely affect jobs. But for now, what I've been seeing a lot is actually that it's enhancing a lot of the jobs and the people that are working, just removing automation, removing certain tasks that they just don't want to do anyway, and that are still needed but aren't the high value, high touch moments that are very important. So that's part of it, and I think that there is already a bit of a bubble with AI. Sam Altman also said this, where there's always going to be, with new tech, a bit of a hype of, what's the potential? What are the expectations? What can we do? And then the results may show that it doesn't actually do as much, but it still does more than we expected. So that, or more than before. So that, I think, is where we're at. I think it's good to know, it's good to understand, but it was definitely in the news a lot, this article, this research. So yeah, and me running an AI agency was very much a topic of conversation with various clients and potential clients, of like, okay, yes, however, a lot of that was also, if you look at the research, was a lot about the politics, the people, and sort of the adoption there, and the hurdles of bringing that in. A lot of stakeholders, a lot of different teams to bring in to make this AI project work. While the tech was relatively low on the list of being the issue, let's say, of
Yeah.
why the project didn't succeed.
I think you brought up a really good point. I've seen a lot about people getting out of college not finding a job right now, especially like in big companies. My number one advice is if you are graduating or if you are a young person who's getting out of college or freshly maybe 2, 3 years in the market, don't apply for a big company. They will not take you right now. They will replace all of this stuff with AI. Not replace, I shouldn't say that, but they will make their existing employees in a more efficient where that work that you would be doing is kind of like being done at the same time by the employee that's already there because it's oftentimes just like busy work. But you have more opportunities than ever. You grew up, you studied with tools that are native to you now, where if you have some sort of hands-on experience and you actually know how these tools work, any small business will welcome you with open arms because they do not have the time, they do not have the resources to dabble around with these types of solutions, fail a couple times before they succeed. So what I've seen, a lot of small businesses are open to, like, if you know AI and you actually know how it works and you've actually done a couple of projects and you've kind of failed a couple of times, you know what to avoid, please come in and teach me. And that's kind of like what I've been seeing is like, if you are out there and you have an AI agency and you have experience and you know what works and what doesn't work, how to start, how to be strategic about something, you are welcomed with open arms out there because it is, everybody knows that they have to adapt, but nobody knows where to start. And so my call it is, if you are young, if you're new, don't apply for big companies, go small business route. You will find a lot of success and a lot of demand, and you'll be able to learn from the ground up, from A to Z, the entire process.
JP, you're singing my song. I love what you were just saying. I think that's so true. I think you can even start sort of how I started with my agency not too long ago, where you can even start with friends and you can start with small projects and figure out what they're looking for, build it out, and go forward with that. There's so many YouTube videos, so many people to follow on how to build automation, how to work with AI, that there's just, the resources are out there. No need to, and maybe you can do a boot camp here or there, but no need to go to many years of schooling or anything. It's just adapting too quickly. And it's a great space to jump in and go for it. You'll learn so much, and I highly recommend that. Also, having worked at Google for many years, I totally agree, JP. I think that's the way to go.
Awesome. Well, same page. If you're out there,
same page.
this is your call to action here.
Your moment.
Yes. Talking about Google. Perfect segue, Nick. Wow, this is like perfectly teed up.
Hey, as if it was planned.
Google came out with another model, and oh my lordy, they have been cooking. Like, they were like so far behind on the curveball, and they have just been cooking. Talk about product development. Like, we brought it up with AI Labs or Google Labs. They just redesigned the AI Studio. They came out with a new model called Nano Banana, which is basically on their 2.5 Flash model, but it's an image model. It allows you to generate images. Holy moly, it is good, and it's fast. It takes like 5 seconds maybe. It generates like really accurate pictures, images, I should say. Really cool. And if you just want to try it out, here is the really cool fun part about Google. They have something called AI Studio, and you can just go to aistudio.google.com, and it's absolutely free. You do not need an account. You don't need an API key. All you need is go to their interface and go generate images, go play around. It's right there. All you have to do is go to generate media, and it's right there. It says Nano Banana, and there is tons of examples, which is also cool. Like, don't know where to get started? There's a bunch of examples right there on how to, generate with sample prompts, and then you can just play around with it. And there's obviously limits on how many you can generate, but it's really cool that they give you that entry space without knowing anything, without signing up for anything, and you can just kind of play around with it, dabble around with it. And that's what I would encourage everybody is, like, just play around with it and see how easy it is, because if somebody comes in and tells you, oh, it's going to be really complicated, like just, just fact check. No one have to be dangerous.
Yeah, no, it's really really cool stuff that they're doing at Google. And as as Sundar said, Google has had a history of never being first. They weren't the first search. They weren't the first Google Maps. They weren't the first Google Photos. Many different things. But they are good at finding a niche, creating a product, and then just relentlessly making it better and better and better for people to use. So it's really cool.
And I think what they've done great in the past is, in the very beginning, you mentioned that like not being the first. Did you know that when Google Maps first came out, it didn't have Europe or Asia or Africa on there or any of the other continents?
Really?
It just had the US. So if you would zoom all the way out, only the US existed. And they were
Sort of like the Gulf of America.
yes, exactly. They were just like
Nice.
just the US, and then they added like the rest of the continents over time. But like they just released the product. They're like, screw it, it's good enough for the US. Like we'll start here. Like we're not going to wait until we have the rest of the data, basically.
Yeah, yeah, super cool. Yeah, and also what's great about Nano Banana, many people are using it for imaging for ads.
Yes.
You can also change it and say like, hey, change the shirt of this image, and it'll just change the shirt, change the hat to a baseball cap, whatever. You can do that with images that you upload of yourself. You can do that with various things. So it's super cool. Super cool.
Yeah, actually, before Google was very strict actually with like modifying existing pictures. I've seen it as well that like if you throw now your own picture up there, you upload it, you can actually now give it instructions and modifying it. Obviously, there is some potential like copyright stuff that may be like be dangerous, but regardlessly, I think I'd rather be moving fast and break stuff. But I think it's pretty cool because you can have a product line and be like, go have somebody hold this product, and I think we've seen some fake celebrity endorsements now because of it, because they had like I don't know, The Rock holding something up and they're like, oh, The Rock is endorsing this, and he's like, dude, I didn't do this. And so yeah, it's going to be very interesting on how these things are going to be utilized. But just having a product and like display it in a shelf, for example, or like something like there's a couple of like things you can get creative, where you don't need like an entire photo studio now. You can just kind of like generate it and it looks really good actually.
Yeah. Actually, on that note as well, just another addition, Anthropic did agree to pay $1.5 billion to settle a lawsuit on copyright.
Yes.
So that is also very much in this world with images endorsing and things like that. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. This was Anthropic trying to settle before going to court, which could have cost way more money. This was to settle before, and this way it seems like most writers would get around $3,000. So they're not really that happy necessarily, but at least it's closed. And then, but other things I'm sure will be coming. But that was the biggest settlement for copyright outside of the courtroom.
Yeah, I think the only nuance to that one was that they were getting caught like actually training on pirated content.
Yeah.
So the books were pirated. They were like actually just like torrented somewhere. Was having a book deal, but I think it's very interesting. I do think that we have to be rethinking about like copyright laws in the AI world, because just because you train that data doesn't mean that like you're stealing anybody. It's like it's so abstracted. It's like so far away from what's actually being outputted that like it's just learning. It's like buying a book and then you learn it and then you kind of teach about it. Like that's not like infringing on copyright. Like sure, if you torrent the book, sure, I get it. But like as long as you don't, generate something that's copyright, like the output is important. Like you can't just go ahead and like output like Disney characters. Like I get that part, but like who is to say you can't train on it? And like who is to say like if you now write a book that like that's very similar to something that's already out there, like who is to say that you're like infringing on anybody's copyright? Like anybody could come up with the idea basically. So I think there's going to be a couple of more battles to fight. I hope that we don't get into a state by state kind of like regulation zone there and kind of like just federally squash that and kind of be able to move forward quickly. But There's lots of debate right now on how to handle these things and how to handle it best. And so I hope that I think they kind of saw the writing on the wall and they're like, let's just get out of the way. And like, we don't want to be the first ones because it
Yeah,
might be expensive and it might be a
yeah,
very long process.
yeah. That too. That too. I mean, the lawsuits also for Google, they last
Yeah,
years and years and years. But yeah.
crazy.
So next, OpenAI. They wanted to launch a job platform. JP, you know a little bit more about this?
Yes. So I think this is going to be interesting. We talked about product. We talked about OpenAI building products. We've talked about, I don't know, no, actually we haven't talked about this, but I think it's very well known. Like LinkedIn is just like, wow, like how has nobody like replaced LinkedIn yet? It's just like basically a flood of like messages you get these days. I don't know. I think there are a lot of people are not very happy with LinkedIn these days. But it's just a behemoth to replace. Turns out OpenAI wants to tackle that behemoth. OpenAI wants to compete with LinkedIn. And they want to basically compete on the fact that in the era of AI, the way you apply for jobs and the way you're vetting jobs is very different. Um, I think I've maybe mentioned this before, but there's now tools out there where you can basically just apply everywhere, and it does apply in a bunch of spots. So companies are getting spammed with just like thousands of applications because of these AI tools, and there's nobody actually vetting it. So it's really hard to actually sometimes, go through the entire process. So we have to rethink how applications and resumes work in the AI world. And what I thought was very interesting is that OpenAI wants to embed some certifications and some trainings and some knowledge of like verifying like how good somebody's AI knowledge is. Um, and I thought that was very interesting because that is something that big corporations do over and over and over again. They love certifications, they love courses. It's a great way to make money for them. And in the beginning, remember doing SAP back in the days, like oh my god, you would pay like $5,000 to $10,000 for a course, and if you had like the certificate, it's the same thing with Salesforce. Like they have like a bunch of like certificates. But what's cool is on the outside, like you have some sort of like stamp on your resume, and you've gone through some sort of like rigorous testing that's standardized. It kind of shows you have some sort of like knowledge about a topic, and so for the AI world, I think it's actually really cool. I think it's actually something that could benefit a lot of people to stand out and to actually maybe have a step ahead of somebody else. And it kind of goes back to, new people in the job market. Like, what if you have like now 10 certifications and you stand out and it gives you some sort of like a badge that you actually do know what you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
and you have used more than like 2 seconds of ChatGPT and you've gone through prompt engineering. So I think there's a big market. I think there's a big opportunity there. The biggest problem with these things is always adoption. There's really only one player in the market that can be successful because you've got to have all the companies, got to have all the job people. Like Twitter, like X is trying to do a little bit of a different thing, a similar thing where they have jobs now on the platform, but I think it's very like tech heavy, and that makes sense. So I'm really interested to see what OpenAI does here and what their angle is. But they're trying to release something in 2026.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially that they're going to be coming out with products. They're going to be disrupting whatever industry that they're going into, and getting a certification in that new product is going to be very important. And I think that that's how they can continue on strengthening legitimacy in the market, as well as just making sure that the ecosystem stays in ChatGPT
Yeah.
and OpenAI. So makes a lot of sense. A lot of it seemed to be a job platform for AI specifically. Granted, that's going to be affecting everywhere, but
Yes.
that is the direction there. So yeah, I looked at that and I was like, sign me up. I'm ready. I'm ready to do that because that
Yeah.
certification can really help. I think right now we're still very much it's frothing. There are a lot of different use cases. We see that with the MIT research that they're failing, and it's like, yeah, people like me, AI agencies. There are also a lot of people that are coming up that don't have that experience or don't have a lot of experience in their past, and so they're just going in there and doing surgery and doing all these different things. And
Yes.
so it's important to have that certification to create that legitimacy and reduce the potential of a bubble in many ways as well.
Yeah, I just hope that the pricing is not going to be like $5,000, $10,000 for these certificates.
Yeah,
That's always like my problem. I'm like, this is just a money grab. So
yeah,
hopefully, it's going to be something more easier to obtain.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, OpenAI. I think talking about OpenAI, one thing I wanted to call out is we talked about ChatGPT 5, GPT-5 in the last session. Talked about how a little bit underwhelming it was. Like they kind of like announced it with the Death Star and like the overall like the new model out there, and everybody expected like this amazing thing. And really on the charts, it wasn't like much better, but it was mostly focusing on just getting away from like these different model types and kind of internally switching between fast thinking and all that kind of stuff. And what I wanted to highlight is that they have a development tool called Codex, and it's basically like a developer AI assistant. And I gotta tell you, I downgraded my Cloud Code subscription because it is so good. It's gotten so much better. And I think in the past, they just released new models. And I think what a lot of companies now have been doing is like they have been iterating on their model version without publicly necessarily making a lot of news or headway. And they're kind of like internally playing with it and internally improving it. But oh my, like ChatGPT 5 with high reasoning in as an AI assistant is really damn cool, and it's much cheaper. The usage is the same as Cloud Code. In my opinion, the GPT-5 thinking is way better than Opus right now. And from a code execution, it's the same thing. And what's really cool is it actually lives in my terminal. It lives in my IDE, in my developer instance. And they have the agent that runs in the browser where I can just give it background tasks and it does it at the same time. And I can use all at the same time as well.
Mm.
And they're all connected. So I thought that was really interesting, especially at the price point that they're offering at. I wonder what their loss there is on the hit that they're taking, but I think it's very intriguing, given that I've been paying for $100 a month for Cloud Code, and now I already had ChatGPT Pro subscription, so now I'm just like canceled one because I don't need both.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Cloud Code seems to be, from what I hear from a lot of people, it seems to be the gold standard really right now of or was for coding. Sure, you had Cursor and you had some others, but Cloud Code quickly became the top, the top
Yes.
one used for coding and development. And to now be able to do that with your ChatGPT or OpenAI, Pro account is bonkers, and it shows that prices continue to go down, and that's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I will keep it.
Have you tested both out with the same sort of prompt or same issue?
Yes, I think that GPT-5 or Codex is just better at like especially at identifying problems. Like when I have issues, it took me like a couple of tries in Cloud Code to get there. And
Mm.
GPT-5 is really good at like figuring out like more complex nitty-gritty problems. I would say where Cloud Code is better, it's a little bit faster in the day-to-day execution, and their formatting is better. Like it's
Mm.
easier to read and follow along. The Codex formatting is kind of like all over the place and like not like distinguished enough. But I really like the fact that it's kind of like available in the cloud as well as on my local computer. Because sometimes I have a couple of things like, oh, go build me a test suite. I just send it off to the agent and I'll check back later like 2 hours and it maybe took like 20 minutes. But like I just give it a couple tasks in the background and it will just do it for me. Um, and it's pretty cool. Then I review it. It gets pushed up to GitHub. I can get to review it, and then I go from there and iterate. It's pretty cool. It's neat.
Would you how many hours does it save you in terms of like coding and development? Like
Oh
in
my
a
god. It's
how, yeah,
I would say it probably speeds me up by the factor of two, if not three. Like
yeah.
it's especially building from the ground up. Like when we built the Get Vibey mobile app, I mean, we built that thing pretty quickly, and it was a lot of vibe coding. Like it was a lot of like I obviously knew what I have to do. So like my benefit is I've developed apps in the past. Um, I kind of like know what to do, what framework to use, what instructions to give. So I have a lot of advantages there. But oh my, like a lot of stuff in the beginning when you build an app, it's just like boilerplate code. Like go
Mm,
build 20 screens, go build the navigation, go build the authentication, go build the API. And like it's a lot of just like very easy boilerplate code that just takes
mm,
time. And it's really good at that. It's just like
yeah.
pumping it out. When it gets a little bit more complex and like you have to like figure out a couple of transitionings and like keyboard awarenesses and like the nitty gritty stuff where you kind of like the last 10%, that's where things sometimes get a little bit slow and you might
Mm,
be faster to kind of like just work it out yourself. But when it comes to just like standing up the project, it's probably 2 to 3 times faster than if I would just do it manually.
yeah. Nice. Awesome.
It's fun. It's really cool. Um, But yes, talking about AI projects, I think one of the discussions points that we started it in the community, is kind of like, you know, AI projects are changing the game a little bit on how the consulting, on how you approach the thinking. And to kind of take a step back, when doing consultancy time, when I had a consultancy, you would agree on a project scope. Let's say, go build this website, go build these 3 pages. Let's say about us, homepage, services, and then I want to have a contact form. And there's like very specific things you can do, and you can measure the deliverable very easy. I think with AI projects, it's very different because the quality is not going to be there on day one. Like it's impossible to test a bunch of different scenarios with prompting right away. So even though I might be able to stand up a customer service rep on like week 1 or 2, it will take a lot of iterations. It will take a lot of examples, a lot of like evaluations of things. And within that, you will find always like nitpicky things you want to improve. And so you actually have to observe the results over time. You have to figure out how to measure it. What does success look like? And then how do you actually measure success, which is very different from like regular like software development consultancies, in my opinion. Sure, you have to make sure it's runs smoothly and scales and all that stuff. But again, we're talking about like actually quality improvements. And then you have new models coming out, and they have abilities to either A, increase the quality, or B, to lower your cost at the same quality. And so, but then as you move the model versions, you have to redo the prompting again slightly because every different model version has slightly different, behavior. And so you have to kind of tweak the prompts all the time. And so let's say you want to move from 4.0 to 5, and it allows you to save 50% in cost, let's say, right? It's not going to be just switch it over and it's going to be done. Like, unfortunately, it's not that it's like, so I think with the call is in AI projects, you actually need to have a long-term relationship with whoever is building the AI. And you have to focus on monitoring and on stats and what does success look like and constant feedback much more than before. And so I think from a consultancy perspective, it's actually very interesting because it opens up the door more than ever to have retainers in place, to be a
Mm-hmm.
long-term partner, to be interested in the successful outcome of a partnership, which I think is a huge step forward in creating a better relationship between businesses and consultancies, sorry. But you've been in that world day to day. You tell me what you've seen out there and what you've kind of observed. But that's kind of like something that I've seen working on these AI projects over the last 3 years. It's not a set and forget. It's very different to how software worked before.
Yeah, yeah, and a very different model than just consulting, even where the projects may be shorter. They could be, a month, maybe up to 3 months, 4 months, and there can be multiple projects that you're sort of working on at a time. And yes, you can build a pretty quick proof of concept that gets you 70% of the way there. But then to make it be the 90 to 95 to 99% of the way there, it takes a lot of input, a lot of data that you need to put into the system for you to be able to tweak, massage, change, make it work. and then to be able to get the output that you're looking for. Uh, LLMs and AI, they will if you just give a prompt, a pretty open prompt, they will never give you the same answer twice in terms of all the words, the sentences, the paragraphs. It will look a little different, and so you need to account for that when you're building. There's so many learnings that come from the projects that I work on, to how to sort of reduce that that temperature, if you will, or the what they're going to say and the creativity of what they're saying, depending on the project that you're working on. And so that input output ratio is very important. And then certain projects you can sort of let go and move on. But there are a lot of projects that that just will continue, that you sort of need to be a part of on an ongoing basis. And yeah, the tools are changing so quickly. There are a few projects that I can think of that I built in February that I would probably build in a very different way now, and use different tools. And that's going to continue to go that way. And so to not be obsolete, to not have those projects only work for 6 months, it's important to keep that relationship and to stay connected. Totally.
Yes, 100%. I think it's going to be, how do you deal with it? Like if you build an AI, for example, like whatever it might be, like a certain AI automation, chatbot, whatever it might be, right? Like how do you advise companies about like staying up to date, making sure they get the benefits, making sure they like understand whether it's successful, whether it may be drifting like towards negativity or like actually getting worse? Because at the end of the day, the models improve all the time under the hood without they actually telling us. And so if you actually look in the APIs now, there are certain like model versions stamped by date, but if you just do the latest, it will just keep changing, and every change could have a certain impact on the performance. So how do you normally do that?
Yeah, there can be model creep to make the project not work anymore. And so there are, with my clients, we discuss that while we're going through these projects, and we discuss a longer term window of, okay, the project has been built, but now we're going to do an ongoing sort of monthly maintenance and check to know that I will we've set things in place that will check, make sure that nothing is breaking, but also that it's still providing the best quality result on an ongoing basis. And because I need to be up to date with the tools and the models and everything, I continue to do that. And if we're continuing with this maintenance fee on a monthly basis, I will also recommend certain projects and certain tools that make sense for my clients, because I've worked with them for many months and I know what they're looking for. And so I share those, and then we can start discussing what that would look like as well.
Very cool. And would you say that most businesses have been kind of like open to like this like longer term relationship to actually ensure that the quality stays up, or have you seen kind of like, we'll roll the dice, we'll see what happens?
Yeah, there are definitely some of the smaller, startups, 1 person, 2 people team, where they're like, yep, we would love to, but we just can't right now. And that's okay too. And we can like, I'm still going to keep them in mind in the future to talk to them. But yeah, that happens as well. And I think in the beginning that was much more prevalent. I think now people are seeing that, oh yeah, things are changing. And I think also it can be very different what you see and what you get from ChatGPT in your regular chatting with ChatGPT than what you actually build. And there's a lot of context, there's a lot of information that ChatGPT has on you, of course, that you've prompted over time, that helps give better answers. And so often the first time we build a project and build something where it's just randomly calling to a certain model, it will give a very different answer. And so it's a lot of setting expectations in the beginning of, hey, it's not going to be as good as what you're using.
Yeah.
And then we need to tweak it and get it to a point where it will be.
Yeah.
So that's part of it as well.
I think that's been the biggest thing that I've observed, is like the need for perfection. We're like, oh no, it has to be perfect on day. I'm like, it's not gonna be perfect on
Yeah.
day one. Like if you want to
Yeah.
be on the AI, it's not gonna be perfect. There's gonna be hiccups, there's
Yeah.
gonna be hallucinations, there's gonna be shit that will happen, but it's okay. Like it is okay. As long as you catch them and as long as you have a way to monitor these things, it will
Yes.
be okay.
Yeah.
And you have to iterate through the process to make it better.
Yeah.
And I think it will take some time for everybody kind of to adjust to that thinking a little bit more, and the models and the tooling will get better. So I think this is a typical first mover advantage slash
Yeah.
risk you have to take. You're
Yeah.
early on, early adopter. Things will not be perfect, but you are ahead of the curve with some of the other things. So it's a give and take, and you have to kind of like, figure out for yourself how risky you want to be. And more importantly, you need to know how you can measure it and how you can find these things proactively.
Yeah. If you want to be at the frontier of tech and you want to sort of you want to find those gains, you're going to have to take some of that risk in the beginning, totally,
Yes,
and be
100%.
open to it not always working the way that you're looking for. But that's where the big gains can happen,
Yeah,
more so than in the future. So yeah,
couldn't
it's
agree more.
so cool. It's such a
Yeah.
great area to work in. It's so fun.
Oh, it's fun. I feel like I mean, I was too young for the dot-com bubble, like not called dot-com bubble, but like for the internet when it came out.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, I was in high school, I think. I was like,
Yeah.
in Europe was very different from a mindset perspective when the whole thing happened. So like now being here in the States, being in the field, like being in like the tech industry, being a little bit older, having seen a little bit more things, and now being able to like kind of like jump on these trends, it's phenomenal, and I'm
Yeah.
pumped out of my mind because so many companies are just getting acquired for the talent right now. So you got to be out there building because it's a really cool time to be in, and a lot of things will fail, but it's okay. But there's a lot of advantage if you move quickly right now.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
So
go ahead. Sorry.
no, yeah, JP, I see we got a poke demo, and I would love
Oh my God,
to.
I'm pumped about this one. So talking about like first mover advantage, talking about moving fast and breaking things. This has been a random Twitter X find, like a random post, and it was a video that just went viral, and I was like, oh my God, I am so intrigued. So I went on the website, and the whole onboarding experience is through text. And then as I realized, this AI is savage, just absolutely savage. Like called you out, like, why do you wouldn't have access to me? Like, what makes you special to have access to me? And I was like, oh man, I am intrigued. And then there's no pricing anywhere. Then I realized throughout the conversation, you are negotiating with an AI about your monthly rate about this product. And I was blown away. And just because of the onboarding experience, I signed up. And so what it is a personal assistant that connects to your Google or Microsoft account. And it will basically help you to remind you of important emails. It allows you to send out calendar invites, follow-ups, reminders, all that kind of stuff that you can do with G Suite and Outlook, basically. But what was intriguing to me was the onboarding experience. I signed up right away, knew I am this and this person. This is what I do for hobbies. This is the company I work for. And I'm like, I just signed up a minute ago. How do you know all this? I mean, I kind of like know in the background how they do it, but it was just like fascinating to me how the prompting worked. And so to kind of show some examples, I kind of like prepared my chat message.
This is crazy, by the way. What you just described is like it's a very different model of getting clients and getting customers, and it's fascinating to explore.
It's crazy. And I'm like, so I had text messages first. Then they offer like Blue Bubbles iMessage. I'm like, okay, I'm sold. Like, that's like, I hate to be that guy, but come on. Like, having rich media content here is just a game changer. So Let me switch to iMessage. Boom, right away. It's like, okay, so the app doesn't change. The price doesn't change. We start at $175 a month just because I figured out how to move to iMessage. I asked you, like, what makes you think $175 a month is the right price? I was like, well, you're a tech founder who understands product value. You want to show this off to tons of business. You previous companies index chart premium rates. You're furnishing home and installing custom blinds. Like, what the F? Like, what? Like, how do you even know this? Like, how do you figure this out within a couple of minutes? It basically went through my purchase history to figure out what my purchasing volume is. Absolutely insane. And so it's like, well, you have a background. You kind of like, you can afford this. You know how this is worth it. And so we went down here. I gave it a couple of like back and forth, and I was like, we ended up of like, you know what, like, hang on, right here. I was like, I found this Twitter thread, and it's like I got in at 45, and so I sent this link to this tweet to this onboarding experience. And remind you, I'm still talking to an AI. I'm like 20 minutes deep right now talking to an AI, absolutely like fascinated. And it says like somebody's been doing Twitter research, and like, listen, different users, different prices, some factors that might take a play. It's like when you sign up, a specific use case, whether you're a student, so it knows if I'm a student, probably by my email address, it analyzes that. How much the team liked them. What is that even about? And then plus sharing conversations from private screenshots, not exactly building trust yet. I was like, oh my God, I'm blown away. And so I was like,
leave it, 175.
another thread I'm sending out. I check out this thread. They get it for $1. And the response is like, oh, classic, somebody else got a cheaper negotiation tactic. I was like blown away. And so it basically came down to like, sure, like I see you've done your homework, you're persistent, that's worth something. How about 125? That's my final offer. Like, take it or leave it. And I was like, $99, you got me. It's like, you're really pushing it. So you know what? I'll do it because your birthday is next month, and here's your subscribe link. And remind you,
Crazy.
I tried to go to this link before. It didn't exist. So it created a
Whoa.
subscription on the fly behind the scenes, and it would change the price basically. And I saw people that got a subscription link where it cost like $1,300 a month on Twitter. And I'm like, blown away on how this I was just like massively intrigued.
Yeah.
And so I tried it out. Like, go get me a flight, Burbank to Austin. I'm going back to Austin for by the event. I'm like, go check this out. Boom! It found me a flight. It found me the Southwest flight that's direct, and then it found me some other airlines with layovers, and it basically recommended like to do the Southwest flight. Super accurate on pricing. Even used a discount code. Was amazing. Like, just blown away. And so it's really cool. There's a bunch in here, but like this morning, this morning it's like, hey, morning brief. Like, here's what you have to do. Like, this is your calendar. You have a dispute. You have a couple of things to do. You have a ring alert. Notion API required upset. So it reminds me you like very smartly about like what is important in your day, what's important in your inbox. And then they have a very small like web application where you can set up some automations. You can kind of fine tune a little bit. But this onboarding experience just got me hooked and pumped. And I'm just here to try it out. And whether I'm still here in a month, I don't know. But right now, I was so intrigued, I had to give it a shot.
Yeah. Did you connect, what tools did you connect it to? And did you connect it before you had agreed on a subscription? Like, where did it get the information? Was it just searching your name, or what do you think?
So I had to connect my Google account before moving forward.
Okay.
So it gets access to calendar, emails, contacts. And so from there, it probably went through. It has a couple of like go look for like certain things, right? And so it probably found those through my emails, and then it probably used then the email to search for social profiles and that kind of stuff. Then it scrapes things like Instagram, LinkedIn, and whatever you find out there. And from Instagram, because my profile is public on Instagram, it probably saw I'm doing triathlons, so then it saw that, and like it was just mind blowing to me how some of the details were nitpicked and how they were like brought into the conversation. And it was just the most mind-blowing onboarding experience to a product I ever had.
Yeah. You know what makes makes this really interesting is like, I want to go try to get a lower price per month than
yes,
$99 now.
yes,
You know what I mean? Like it makes me want to go see like, what does he think I'm going to pay? You know, it's
yes.
really, it's really fascinating.
And I wanted access so badly, and it kept saying like, take it or leave it. I'm like, I don't want to lose access. Like I want to get access. So it totally got me. I was like at 99. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm in. Like, we're
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah.
I had like, I don't know. I have fear of missing out. I had
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
I had to
Totally.
be part of the wave.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear in our next podcast what the update is, what you're thinking of it. But
Yes.
yeah, they have a video on their website, and you can just immediately connect on messages, iMessages. You said WhatsApp. What was the other one as well?
Regular text. So regular text,
Oh, and regular text.
iMessage,
Yeah.
and WhatsApp. Yes, correct.
Yeah. So it saves. It has the context. If you're traveling and you're using WhatsApp, it has that too. So it really covers a lot. Could be a really interesting thing. Either way, their marketing is on point.
It's on point. The video is great. Go check it out. It's pokey.com. It is at Interaction, because the company is called the Interaction Company of California, Inc. So very cool name, very intriguing name. There are a couple of kids in the Palo Alto office downtown, which is also very unique. They're not in San Francisco. They're like in Palo Alto, like actually like in a room, just cranking out some code. And oh my goodness, like, wow, they have done an amazing job at creating hype, but just creating an amazing onboarding experience.
Yeah, super cool. We'll see how it goes. I'll let you guys know next time what price I'm paying.
Yes. And here's one more funny thing. So it failed at summarizing certain emails from like a long time span, because I was trying to summarize emails from like February to now. And it couldn't. It said like, oh, there's nothing before August. And it might be because it hasn't synced all the emails yet, which is totally fine. But here's the kicker. I reported the bug to the support team. They responded, thank you for reporting. Because of users like you, we can make the product better. Here's a $50 coupon to our merch. So now I'm buying merch. Now I'm gonna be running up. And I'm like, this is genius. Like, I took $50. I basically paid $6 for shipping, but now I have $50 worth of merch, and I'm gonna be running around like a billboard. And
they're good. They are good.
I'm just blown away. Like, I'm just a supporter just because like it's not very often that you get blown away by something like this. And I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm here for the ride. Like, you sucked me in. Like, if you're listening to this, you definitely sucked me in. You got a good one here. I'm not going away anytime soon. And so this highlight of the week, if not the month. It was great. It was so awesome.
Well, definitely take a pic of the merch when you get it, or wear it next time. We're gonna have to do that.
I will absolutely.
Sounds good.
Well,
Nick, awesome.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. Even
chat.
Though it was a summertime, packed agenda. As you can see, things are moving fast. I like that we kind of like focus on the important stuff. I hope so, at least. And we don't try to like inflate the agenda with things just to have an agenda. But like, man, we already packed an hour again. It went by so quick.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's always a great conversation. Hope other people like it too. Send us comments, leave comments below, feedback. We'd love to get that. Yeah. Thanks so much, JP.
So. Awesome, Nick. Have a great day. I'll see you later.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Cheers.